Hello.
Hi.
How's everybody doing? Hey, look, do you ever feel lonely in your relationship? Like, even when your spouse is right there beside you, they can feel like they're a million miles away. What you may suffer with, or you may be experiencing, is what we call intimacy abandonment. We're going to talk about that tonight on this episode. Hello, this is Vincent.
And Valerie
Woodard. And on this episode of Couples Pursuit,
we're going to discuss being lonely in your marriage or in your relationship. Is that you? Or is it your spouse? Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that.
One of the maybe the worst feelings or disheartening feelings in a relationship is being with your spouse but feeling like utterly alone. Like you're right beside them, but you don't feel that connection. You don't feel that passion. You don't feel that the intimacy is what we call.
Right.
It's supposed to be about spending the rest of your life with your boo. You know.
Yes.
Spending the rest of your life with your best friend.
Yeah.
But yet we're at this place right now where they kind of seem like they connect with other people more than they connect with you.
Yeah.
Or they don't even really connect with anybody. That's another situation.
Right.
But we're in this place right now, and we don't really know what to do about it. And we just kind of coined the phrase intimacy abandonment because it's like we're desiring for their intimacy, but they're desiring for the connection and to be close to them. But I'm not feeling it.
Right.
You know?
And it could be that one person or the other has withdrawn themselves from the relationship for whatever reason, which is one of the reasons why we coined the phrase communication camp, because the issue is that we need to learn how to communicate with one another in a better way. And sometimes that communication is verbal, sometimes it's written, sometimes it's it should always be with listening, but sometimes it's nonverbal in the body language, in the time that we spend together, how you feel when you're close to one another, how much you share or don't share, how much you communicate about things other than the logistics. Good morning. What time are you going to work today? What time will you be back? Can you pick up the kids? We have this meeting, et cetera, et cetera. The necessary or the required conversations. What is really going on with you and your spouse? Are you the spouse who is withdrawn? Do you know that you are? And do you know why you are? Are you approachable? Has your spouse asked you, are you okay? And when you say yes or no, are you being honest about that?
Wow, yeah.
Or are you coveting your feelings or covering your feelings? If you are that person who feels that way, your spouse may feel lonely in the relationship. If you have a habit of communicating with one another, you have had a pattern of talking, of looking each other in the eye, of experiencing intimacy and intercourse without trouble.
Wow.
Because intimacy is not intercourse. Intimacy can lead to intercourse, but it is not. Intimacy doesn't mean sex.
That's right. And
okay.
we're talking about that, the connection, the things that gave you butterflies in the beginning, that you want to always be with them, you talk to them, you can share them, you can discuss your dreams, your interests, your goals for your life, for your life and your spouse's, your children, if you desire to have children.
Yes.
They felt that pull. You could be at work and at 3:00 in the afternoon, and it's like, wow, I wonder what they're doing right now.
Yeah.
And you could be in the house and then just drop what you're doing and just go over to the person, just give them a hug or a pat on the butt but anyway,
that's his thing.
You can. It's that you, and all of a sudden you discover that like that's missing now.
Or maybe not all of a sudden.
Well,
because here's
true.
the thing. Sometimes it is all of a sudden and you think, well, wow, something's different. And then you begin to probe into that, or you don't. And then the wall builds. Well, he hasn't said anything to me. I wonder if something's wrong. Well, let me ask him. He said no. So I'm going to go back over here and just do what I'm doing. Or maybe when I asked, she said, why do you keep bothering me? I said nothing is wrong. Leave it alone. Or they don't say leave it alone, but you get the nonverbal leave me alone. And then you become comfortable with that. And let's talk about different types of loneliness, okay? Or abandonment. What was the phrase you said? Intimacy abandonment. Okay. Is it situational or is it relational? What I mean by that is there's some occurrence that's happened in your marriage that's caused this change in your sharing, your closeness, your intimacy. Let's say, for instance, has there been a medical issue, right? And this person may not be present to be intimate. You know, they may be stressed, they may have anxiety, they may be have been incapacitated in some way, and they may be medicated.
They might feel like they can't perform, and so why even get myself or ourselves in a situation where you can get, you know, emotional,
aroused.
And so it's like it's best, maybe easier for them, for their self-esteem, instead of kind of like, okay, well, I'm just going to distance
avoid intimacy because intimacy might lead to intercourse, and I'm not able to do that. That's very real and very true. Do you have a spouse who perhaps is deployed, or they might be a doctor or a nurse, or they work some kind of schedule that conflicts with yours, and you've just gotten used to spending so much time apart that you just don't even try anymore?
Wow.
Or maybe not that you don't try, but that may be the thing that causes you to feel lonely. Is it scheduling? You know, sometimes even when we are quote unquote busy, we shouldn't be so busy that we don't make time for one another.
It's amazing. You remember the interview we did with Dr. Bonnie, where she actually, and I forgot how long they are married. They're still married.
Dr. Bonnie, I can't.
But she said, well, anyway, she said she still schedules.
I think 21 years.
Okay.
Yeah, something like that.
They still schedule times out during the day to be intimate. People like, wow, you know, that's just really going really far. But no, I think that if not scheduling, like put it on your clock or whatever, like eventually, me and my wife, we get so busy and doing what we're doing that we recognize that we haven't touched, we haven't kissed, we haven't really even like physically contacted one another, and we do that. We just, it's like, wow.
You take a moment to connect.
Yeah, so you have to.
Yeah.
And so sometimes we get busy and we forget that, wow, I haven't touched my wife all day. I haven't kissed my wife, and I'm able to.
Yeah, I haven't had a conversation with him or her. And another thing that Dr. Bonnie shared with us was many connections, small connections that we make. It's not always what we say, because it's her advice that communication is not always the issue, but sometimes that we over communicate things, like we talk things to death. You know, and there are other ways for us to relate to one another. And one of those things are the hugs, you know, that 20-second hug, chest to chest. Yeah. You know, take the time to kind of drink each other in, if you would.
And that's good, you know. Yeah. And we do that, you know, during the day, but to actually intentionally do that, say, hey, I just want to hug you, and just stay right there for a second. You know, it's like, wow, it feels good. You know,
it gives you a moment to settle into. Wash the world away. This is my safe place. This is my partner. You know, this is the person that I am one with. And we can't forget that. We should not allow anything to come between that. And so if you're feeling lonely, I think the first step is to evaluate, okay, why do I feel alone? Why do I feel lonely? Am I alone? Meaning physically, am I not with my partner? Okay, if I am with my partner and I still feel lonely, why do I feel that way? Am I making the best use of my time? Is my partner very busy and occupied doing things, and I'm finding that I'm not? I'm just waiting for them to come home. Are you the person who expects your husband or your wife to fulfill your needs, and you don't do anything to fulfill your own needs? Do you not find time to do things with your day? Do you not have, not necessarily hobbies, but interest, and also hobbies, other things that will occupy your time that are healthy and productive and lead to your own autonomy, your own individuality. We should have that. My husband and I are one, but we have separate interests.
That's right.
And we have common interests. And it's up to us to manage our time and our day and not expect our spouse to, quote unquote, make us happy. So if we've made that evaluation and we're still having some issues, then I think that's a time when we can talk with our spouse and say, hey, I miss you.
That's right.
Don't be afraid to be vulnerable and say, I miss you. I want to spend time with you. How often do we just take 5 seconds? Look at me, babe. I'm going to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 seconds, right? How often do we take that long to look into each other's eyes? Or do we just take a glance and say such and such and such and go right back to what you're doing? Taking the time to connect, looking at each other eye to eye that's intimacy.
And it's powerful.
It is.
Somebody let me know on the chat. Is it Facebook want to kick me? Oh no, I'm there. I'm good.
Oh, we're back. Okay.
Yeah,
I'll see. We're having some issues.
Giving me a little error. So
okay.
But that's so powerful. I recognized this a while ago to make eye contact when I come home from work, and I'm thinking, probably a whole bunch of things is probably going through my mind. I might be thinking about what I have to do once I get home. Maybe it's something I'm supposed to be doing around the house or whatever. But my wife hasn't really seen me all day. We might have spoken on the phone, we might have texted, but we hadn't really seen each other. So now we get to the place where we're actually in the same room, the same place, and then I want to be looking at my phone. I want to look in the refrigerator. I had to take the time out,
having a snack.
To and I might be hungry. All those things are true, but to actually slow down and turn and just look and
hey,
yeah, I see you.
How are you today?
Yeah, I see you.
Yeah, and you know what happens in those moments is you get to check out my countenance, and I get to check out yours, and it's true. Are you okay? Did you have a good day? Or is everything all right? And most of the time, we know or no. Listen, let me tell you. And sometimes I'm good about not just, here's everything that's happened to me. And sometimes I'm not. I'm like, babe, listen. I'm feeling stressed, and let me go ahead and tell you about this. Let me get this off my chest. But I do try to be considerate of not just bombarding him with issues, and also with not being bombarded with issues. Because what I've learned is it's not fair to just take everything I'm feeling and put it on him. I need to take it to God in prayer. It's okay for me to share with him what I'm going through, but I can't expect him to solve all of my problems when he's just come from work dealing with everything that he is responsible for. We need to consider those things. So yeah, also, I think I might have mentioned another situational issue for loneliness might be medical. There could be some mental health issues that recur as a result of trauma. Is your husband or wife ill? Is there pre-senile dementia or dementia that's going on that causes illness? And although we haven't experienced that, we know and love people who have experienced it. And sometimes, it's good to talk to someone. I'm sure that there are support groups for certain kinds of, illnesses or loved ones of those who are ill. And is that loneliness, is it periodic? Or is it ongoing? Is it something that just began to happen, or is it something that's been happening for a long time?
I recognize and admit that I use intimacy as a weapon. Like withdrawing myself from our relationship when we have argument. That was when you said periodic. Yeah. That's what I knew that I did, and I knew that was wrong. And she actually brought it to my attention. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm the guy, and here I am using sex as a weapon, or lack of sex, lack of intimacy as a weapon. Intimacy, yeah. And and I'm like, okay, well, I'm still upset. That's my whole argument for it. I haven't gotten over this. I'm still upset. I want you to know that. And so, and I did, and I had to recognize that we never are able to heal past whatever hurt we're going through by withdrawing ourselves from the person that we love. You have to have. God made us for a connection. He said it's not good for man to be alone.
Right.
And He's talking about both of us.
Yes.
It's not good for us to separate and withdraw and withhold intimacy from one another.
Yeah.
No.
Well, that makes room. It makes room for error and judgment. It makes room for the enemy to come in when your husband or your wife may be vulnerable to past habits. You know, it is not an excuse to be unfaithful or to watch pornography or to do things that are unhealthy and unrighteous and unclean. It's not an excuse for that. However, we are believers and we make that known. We're Christians and we believe what the word says about our bodies not being our own, not in the sense that it is free for my husband to abuse or misuse me or vice versa, right?
That's right.
But what it does mean is that we have an obligation to one another to be available emotionally, mentally, physically, sexually also. We shouldn't withhold ourselves from one another. So thank you for being transparent about that, babe. I hadn't thought about that in the longest time, but I, on the opposite end of the spectrum, was the person who would never withhold myself from him, because I learned from watching other women do that. I thought, that's not loving. It is not kind. It is it's a weapon, and we shouldn't use our bodies or withhold our affection as a weapon. So when it was his way of being, it was really frustrating for me. It was hurtful to me because it was another level of rejection. So my question for you is, are you that spouse?
Yes.
Who withholds your affection?
And if you are that spouse, or you are on the other side, like my wife said, receiving that, we want to give you at least 3 things. That there's counseling and so many other things that we can go down, but I want to leave this video with at least 3 things that you can try to, that can help the process, recognize the process. And that's number 1, is to first recognize that we can't make them change. Like, you watch this video and I say, baby, you need to watch this video. You need to hear what they're saying. You can't make anybody do anything. Because God even gave us free will. Right.
You're obligated to me. You're supposed to. If you can't do this, what are you good for? Yeah, that's not going to help you. That's not going to help you.
Yeah, and telling somebody else what they're supposed to do for you, this is really not. That's step 1, is to realize that it will help you so much. It would bring some maybe not closure, but it would say you're not crazy. I'm not crazy for wanting this. It's okay to desire that. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that. And I believe you should have it. But you can't make anybody do anything.
And do you really want what someone doesn't want to give you? That's another thing, because when it became an issue, it's like, well, I don't really want to be close to you if you don't want to be close to me. But what I want to know is what is your problem? Right? Like, what's going on? Because let's just be honest. The first thing that comes to mind is like, well, if you're not desiring me, are you being fulfilled somewhere else?
That's the room. You say, leaves room for the enemy.
Right. And fulfillment somewhere else doesn't always necessarily mean another woman. It doesn't always mean another woman or another man, because you can pick up your phone and find all kinds of things to look at to satisfy yourself. If you're just looking for the physical fulfillment, the peak, you know what I'm saying? If you're just looking for the climax, okay, then you can get that. But that is not what love is. That is not what relationship is. That is not what intimacy is. That is not what marriage is. And it is only going to worsen your relationship. It's only going to widen your gap. If you have troubles with being intimate with your spouse, if there are medical, functional, biological issues that you're having, there are things that you can seek to supplement your intimacy. But those are things you should seek together.
That's right. And
not separately.
That's number 2. Number 2 is to have the talk. To have a talk, a conversation with one another. sit down. It's really a safe space. Remember, we talked about that in the previous video. To develop a place where we can have a safe space. This is not about what you are doing and what you did to me. This is, can we discuss?
We have an issue.
Yes, can we discuss? It was important for us to get to a healthy place. Can we discuss? Because like my wife said, there are some physical things that can be addressed. You know, men suffer from low testosterone sometimes. You know, you can get some shots, you can get some pills, there's some things, because sometimes a man can not want to be intimate if he think he can't perform. Like he can't fulfill the act, Right. He's not his old self,
right?
Or he might have never been that person. He might have suffered from a very long time, and not really had the full benefit of having a right levels of testosterone in his body and his strength. Right. So there are some physical ones and emotional. Some things that my wife told me early on in our relationship, some things that happened to her when she was younger, and it wasn't until later in our relationship that I was able to open up. I ain't say able, I was always able, but the fact that I chose to open up about some things that happened in my childhood and growing up and so on and so forth. So there's some emotional things that we have to get past, but it can come out in the development. Once you can be like, oh.
Yeah, it answers the question. And babe, I'm so glad you brought that up, because when we cover, I mentioned earlier, covering whatever is going on. If the person says, well, what's the matter? Nothing's wrong with me. I just don't feel like it, or you just don't turn me on, or whatever. Sometimes we will push the other person away to cover ourselves. We'll make it seem like it's you. It's not me. Well, if you look better, maybe if you change your hair, if you lose some weight, if you do, it's not right, but it is true. These things do happen. And we have to remember that men and women are more alike than they are different. Yes, it's my opinion. You may feel differently. Physically, biologically, all of the anatomy is different, but we all have the same set of feelings and emotions that we express in a different way.
That's right.
But like my husband said, he went through some things when he was a child. I went through some things when I was a child. I've always been very vocal about that, because I realized years ago that what happened to me was not my fault, and that I needed to heal from that. But I also realized that they were side effects that were meant to cause a rift between my husband and myself in our intimate life, in our sex life. I was supposed to be shut down because of the trauma that I had suffered from being hurt sexually, from being molested. And so I think that's one reason for me I was so proactive about, you know what, I'm not going to allow this to destroy what God meant for me to enjoy with my husband. And I had to come to that place of understanding, so that it didn't ruin my relationship, because I wanted to be married. I wanted to be in love. We both are affectionate people. We desire to be intimate. And I wasn't going to give the enemy a foothold in our life in that area. Now, I also wasn't going to be mistreated, which is why we came to the place of, listen, sir.
Yes, we had to talk.
You need to tell me something.
Yes. It wasn't just one. She uncovered a little bit. She got a peel. The first conversation. Then the next one, she got another one. I'm just like, okay, she gonna keep.
Yeah, I'm not gonna give up. I'm not gonna, because you need to tell me something.
Because I want to open up. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try. Here I go. Nothing. It's nothing. It's not really nothing. It's something. It's something.
I just don't feel like it.
Yeah. It's here we go. So yeah, she just kept coming, and I urge you to do the same thing.
Yes.
To have the conversation, have the safe space, open up, discuss, not just talk so you can say what's on your mind.
Right.
And then that person was like, okay, wow, that's a lot to digest. But it's a conversation, because they have something to, like my wife said, we both have the same emotions. We just express them different.
Yeah.
And that comes out also in intimacy. I think people desire for connection.
Yes.
And how we receive that or give it is in different ways.
Yeah.
And that leads us to, you talking about opening a room to the enemy. To that third point is prayer.
Yeah.
Man, the power of prayer. That's why we host a Bible study on Wednesday nights. And if you haven't joined us on Wednesday nights, I urge
Please
you to do so.
Yeah.
We give biblical fundamentals, foundational, informational teachings that can help
faith,
you about faith, about Jesus, about the Word and what it says and what you're promised, and how you can have a deeper relationship with God, because we're so busy for our spouse. Imagine if we're too busy for our spouse, we're probably saying that we're too busy for God. And so you have to set times like that Wednesday nights, those prayer nights, those prayer mornings, and have a prayer and tell God what you desire. God, my husband or my wife, we're going through this. It doesn't feel right. I don't really know what's going on. They don't open up to me. What can I do? Reveal to me what I can do to get them to share more with me, or reveal to me what I can do to show more emotion, show more intimacy.
Yeah. And when you mention that finally, you shared with me some things that were going on with you, I felt a shift in our intimacy, in our closeness, because you no longer had to cover that thing. And you could share with me what it was. And so that brought me closer to you. It made me more sensitive to you. It made me more aware of who you were and how you were and how you might feel. Because we didn't do a whole lot of talking about it, but it spoke volumes to me. And those are the things that are supposed to happen. You're supposed to get closer as time goes on, not farther apart. And women, I want to caution you, when your husband shares with you the things that are near and dear to his heart, please be prayerful about what you say, about how you respond, because the be a man, suck it up, men don't cry, you're supposed to be tough, all of that is a bunch of baloney, malarkey, garbage, whatever you want to call it. It is necessary for us to make a soft place for them to lay their heads. Where they never have to hear about it.
It's force-fed, though. Those things are kind of force-fed to us as a child growing up. I caught myself even saying that to my grandson one time, and I said I was not going to say it again, because he's not supposed to just suck it up.
No.
Why? He's crying.
Yeah.
He has an issue, whatever it is. He's hungry, wet. I don't know what it is. He wants his toy. He thinks he deserves the toy. I don't know, but he has an issue. Let's talk about the issue. Don't just suck it up. Stop crying. Be a man. No, won't say that again.
Let's figure out what's going on. Help them to, in a healthy way, be able to experience and express how they feel. Okay. It's so great that we share that. We kind of took a little bit of a sidebar, but before we leave, I want to share what I shared before was some situational issues that may attribute to loneliness or abandonment of intimacy or affection in a marriage. But some other things might be like a lack of effort. Is your spouse not interested? Are you not interested anymore?
Wow.
And why? Is there a lack of interest? Why are you not interested? Are you occupied with other things that may be taking your time and attention from your spouse? Have you just gotten used to not spending time, and you're okay with that? Is there conflict in the marriage? And with conflict, some people manage differently. I've heard people talk about this, and I just can't relate to the anger intimacy. I'm not interested in that. People who get angry and they feel like, well, when we fight, it's just better.
Oh, okay.
No, y'all can have that. No, thank you. This is how we make up. No, thank you. Is there complacency? Like I said before, have you just gotten used to it? What are your expectations of your spouse? Are you expecting them to be someone else? Are you expecting them to fulfill desires that you had in a previous relationship? Do you expect your spouse to make you happy?
Yeah.
Do you expect them to fill all your time? Do you sit and wait for them to, fulfill you?
Yeah.
Do you have
like
interest of your
else?
own?
Why can't you be like? I mean, you might not say that.
Don't say that.
Please your heart.
Say that.
You're like, how come they can't be more like such and such?
Yeah.
I can't know because you said in your heart, but it comes out through
your actions.
all that. And so, I mean, really, your husband is your husband. He's the person that you fell in love with. Yes, I'm saying your husband. Like my ministry to the men, but your spouse is your spouse, and that's the person that you married to. That's their wholeness. Our job is to make each other better. We are to simulate what Christ has done for the church.
Yeah,
he came down here. He gave us all, and we are the bride, and we are to give back to Him, and to the Father we present ourselves.
Right.
And God, and Jesus was so happy about that. He said, "I'm so happy that I have not lost one."
Right.
He's proud about that fact. So a marriage is supposed. It's a symbol of that here on earth. We're supposed to pour out into each other wholeheartedly, not holding anything back.
That's so good. And the other thing I wanted to say was this, is that, when you mentioned comparing your spouse, that lowers the self-esteem of a person quickly. A man may not show it, but when you tell him you should be more like such and such, that hurts his feelings or it makes him angry. But I would dare to say, if he shows anger, it's because his feelings are hurt.
Wow.
That you have compared him to somebody else. So everything, whatever I do for you is not enough. I actually have had the responsibility of telling a Christian brother, do not compliment me like that in front of your wife. Do not tell her she should do anything like I do. That's disrespectful. I appreciate that you appreciate how I operate, but that is not how you're going to get what you need from your wife. You have disrespected her, you've dishonored her, and you have hurt her feelings, and you need to go fix that.
Yeah.
You need to go take care of that. Because that's your bride. Like you said, we are the replica or the image, of Christ, and the church, is the example for the husband and the wife.
Exactly.
The church being the bride and Christ being the bridegroom, him being the bridegroom and me being the bride.
That's
We
right.
are he's supposed to cover me and protect me. And with that covering and protection, I yield myself to him in submission. He submits to God. I submit to him. That doesn't make me subject to him.
That's right.
It makes me submissive to him.
It's the mission.
The mission.
We're not.
Yeah.
She's
I
not
surrender to the
less
mission.
than our person.
Yeah.
But it's the mission.
Right.
We
right.
we have an ordinance. We have direction. We have. Okay, we're going.
We're getting into Bible study now. So
we love the Lord.
We do.
Please leave a comment about a video if you watch.
Yes.
Any nuggets that might have dropped in your heart or in your spirit. We would love to know them. We'd love to read them. We'd love to share them.
Yes.
And we know that communication is an issue for a lot of marriages. It's one of the leading causes of divorce when you have ineffective communication.
Yeah.
So we have developed a course, a masterclass on effective communication. And I'll leave a link below. Please go check it out. It's free. The masterclass is free. I'd urge you to check it out, either alone or with your spouse. But it'll bless you because we made it from our hearts. We made it out of 21 plus years that we've had ineffective. We've done everything.
Trial and error.
All kinds of communication except for effective communication.
Yeah.
And we have put all of that, most of it,
Some of it.
into this, in this video. So please go check it out. Click the link.
Yeah. Also, my husband said, leave a comment. If you and your spouse or you're the spouse who desires to change, or, if you desire prayer, if you desire a conversation, a consultation, reach out to us at the link below as well. And we're happy to do that for you. We thank you for tuning in and listening to what God has given us. We do this out of love and honor and appreciation for the fact that God could take the mess that we had and turned it into the miracle that our marriage is today. We truly love each other and want to spend time with each other, and we've finally gotten to the point where we don't fight anymore. We don't argue. Doesn't mean that we agree about everything, but we discuss what we don't
That's right.
agree about, and then we make the decision to find peace.
Amen.
Within that. And so
and within that and before that, we're going to come through whatever this issue, whatever's head on, whatever's been discussed at the table.
Let's talk about it.
We're going to come through.
Yeah. Because we have purpose, and we are designed to be one, whether we acknowledge it or not. The vows that we made, the covenant that we made before God, made us a threefold cord. The Holy Spirit is the one who we say our vows to. You know, he holds us together, and it doesn't benefit us to try to pull ourselves apart because we disagree.
That's right.
That's painful, it's unnecessary, and it's only going to benefit the enemy.
The three things that we talked about in the video, urge you to go back and replay it, watch it. Also, the Effective Communication Masterclass, you know, take a look at that, see if that's something that can help. And if you desire for a consultation with us, we offer a free 30-minute consultation. And, you know, some people can take that and run. And we have people that's been on vacation, they stuff been healed. And then sometimes, you know, you need more. You need more. And we have other packages for that. So thank you for tuning in.
Thank you so much. And until next time, may the Lord bless you, may he keep you, make his face shine upon you, be gracious to you, and give you peace. We'll see you next time on Couple Pursuit Live.
Bye.